G'day everyone, welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'll be Nat. This will be a very cold Knackers Yard. We are still very much walking in a winter wonderland. For viewers outside of the UK, you won't understand how much that affects this country, but it's always a surprise when it snows here. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, pretty much everything stops. It's caused a bit of a halt for me because it's too cold to do stuff. Now, that's not just me being all delicate, but there's things like painting that I wanted to do that I've tried and failed for various reasons, temperature being one of them. The Mudguard is primed and now looking quite good. It's a bit balanced there. I'm going to have to move it because I don't want to drop it. I've had a complete nightmare with that, and it doesn't bode well for the tank, because what I thought was wrap and later found out is paint. Each colour somehow reacts differently to primer. And it's not so bad on metal because obviously you can strip it back with paint stripper, with the old wheels, the paint removal wheels, and you can't do that with plastics. It's just going to destroy it. So it's a rub down. Now I'd hope to just rub it down flat and paint over the top, using the base coats as a base coat or several base coats. No, that wasn't playing. And a combination of painting in too cold temperatures and getting all sorts of weird reactions. It's taken the best part of, I say a week. It's not as if I've been doing it solidly. It's been, like half hour in an evening when I get back from work and done all the domestic stuff and a little bit more work. Oh, my stomach went then. And to get it back to something approximate to decent. But anyway, not going to get painted now. I'm just going to put that away and get on with it. What else have I been doing? I've had I've had the seat off because I want to get the tank off, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a second. I also can't find my filming phone, which is really irritating, so I'm having to use my proper phone, which doesn't quite fit in my frame, and I'm paranoid about dropping it. But anyway, it does mean that I'm, for different reasons, using Bluetooth to talk to you, so my voice shouldn't fade tonight. I've had the seat off. I've come to a conclusion, and it might not be a popular one, and it might not be immediate, it might be longer term down the road. My personal view is the only time brown should be on a seat is after a near miss or an accident, and you should be able to wipe it off. I think the brown ruins the bike at the moment. I've been looking for seats and covers. Now, I don't have a flat pan. There is an element of custom within this, I think. I can't find one with the bumps in the right place, but it's also 62 centimetres. 63, yeah, 62. Because I want to go black, and my thinking was, well, I'll just buy any old seat, rip the cover off, and replace it, and just take one off and put the cover on that seat. Now, most bunny is universal, because nothing is universal, but most of your bog standard ones, for about, the cheapy ones, if you like, are only 52, so they're way too short. When you get to 62 and 63 centimetre ones, suddenly they hike up to about 60, 70 quid. They don't do the seat covers. They only come as a seat complete, which is why they're more expensive. Yes, I can just buy a sheet of pleather and staple it round, but I'm not going to get, the detailing and the shape, etc., etc. It's going to look a bit chod if I just do like a sports seat cover. But anyway, that's not today's business, probably not this week or indeed this month's business. Looking at the arrangement of the bike, and this is where I want your opinion, please. Obviously it's been messed around with to a degree, but I have a regulator rectifier under the seat. Now, I have concerns on that because I know that it transfers heat, which is why it has all the fins on it. It gets hot, therefore it needs to cool down. Now, I'm slightly concerned if it's under a seat, is it going to get airflow? Probably not, but is it going to get enough to keep it cool? And that's my question to the audience today is regulator rectifiers. They would generally be, yes, undercover. Can I show an example? I probably could, but it'll take some digging. They're generally under a side cover, but they have airflow and they stay cool, and fundamentally to me it seems odd to have it covered in a seat. There's no scorching, there's no burning, there's no marks on the underside of the seat that would hint at it it's got too hot. I just don't know. It doesn't feel good to me, but we shall see. The observant may notice, I'm not sure I'm going to get the camera in there to be able to show you a little Nat's Knackered Yard. You can't quite see, but I just stuck a sticker in there after I painted off the grills. So I got rid of the gold on the grills on the front of the radiator and in front of the battery box. I don't know if I'm going to keep that battery box yet. I can't find my little lithium battery. It seems to have disappeared in Garage Move, but I'll see. I don't like the big box there, but it works. I'm not going to piss around with it as yet. Well, let me see if I can give you a bit of a view of the inside of the tank, because that's where I'm going to play with today. Right, so I bought this a year or so ago. They're about £8 off eBay. Little Chinese endoscope thing. You download an app and off you go. So let's see if we can have a dig in this tank. I can't remember if it records audio. I don't think it does, but it may end up being a voiceover. Welcome to Endovision. It doesn't record audio while it's doing this, so I'm doing this in the warm, and as you can see, some light rust. I don't think it's too critical. There's a little bit of hazing on my camera to the right, but it's only cheap and it's getting on a bit. But darting around, it's not bad. It's not great, don't get me wrong. But there's no massive flakes there. I don't think there's anything that's going to get sucked into the carb and cause me too much problem. But I've got to get rid of it, really. It's daft not to. I can find the video, but just in case it doesn't work, I'll do it on this camera. Look, it's bad but not horrendous. Now I have white vinegar because I think it's not that bad. So I've got 10 litres there, or 2 5-litre drums. What I want to do is whip the tank off, drain the last of the fuel out. I might take the embellishments off as well, and then just give that a good swill, and probably leave it for a week until next weekend. Anyone remember Chaz? What no cats? Right, so I've just run the bike for a couple of minutes just to warm it up, then whip the fuel line off just to dry out the carbs, because I'm going to have to play with the carbs at some point. If nothing else, just to check the jetting. And we're off. No fuel gauge on this. I'm just considering the best way of getting the fuel out is probably whipping. I'm not sure what you can see. Probably whipping off the fuel tap. I'll just use my workbench, i.e. the bins next to you. See what, I don't want to be playing with too much metal out here today. It's bloody freezing. So what we got? What horrors have we exposed? Not too bad as far as things go. Engine doesn't look too bad. Not too mucky. Better view of the carbs. The carb boots look okay. A little bit cracking, but nothing that I've noticed is too bad. Pipework looks in reasonable nick. Frames don't look too bad. Aha, that's what I was looking for. So I finally spotted just in there, just where my finger is pointing straight at. So that's the tachometer, the breath counter, because I don't have one working. I need to work out how to attach one. That's cool. Right, happy. Let's get the remains of the fuel out of the tank, and we'll get some vinegar in. Okay, so tap off, and it's got some rust and gunk around the bottom. More or less than expected, really. It's a bit yellow. A bit. What I'm going to do to help that form is take the cap off, which I should have done earlier. I now really need a pee. Jesus, my hands are cold. Right, leave that to drain while I go for an incredibly suggestive piss. Oh, Jesus. Confucius say, wise man no pee with cold hands. That was unpleasant. Anyway, got some gloves now. Nothing like shutting a stable door after the horse is bolted. How are we doing? I think we're good. Oh, he says. Come on. Yeah, so I don't hear any rattling. That fuel has come out pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Let me just dump this. Can you see? Yeah, that's not a bad view. It wasn't a completely clean bucket either. That fuel will go in my lawnmower, not back in the bike. And looking at the tap, it's just rusty sediment, really. It's not too bad at all. And now obviously I need to block the tap while I am pissing around with vinegar. Just wonder whether or not I just use that to do it. I think I probably will. Put the tap back in, chuck in a load of vinegar. Right, let's get on with that. Oh, piss. Take the glove off, turn the camera off. So while I'm doing this, because it's quite done, one of you guys, Steve, messaged me through Facebook, which anyone can do, and sent a link to a Facebook group and said, is any of this of interest to you? I couldn't open the link because I wasn't a member of the group, but so I went back to Steve and said, I'm not in. And he sent me a screenshot, and it was Superstream bits. But it was my favourite type of Superstream bits. It was cheap bits, and it was 2 wheels and a carb, a complete carb, and the guy was after 40 quid for each. Now 40 quid for a set of carbs is chicken feed. Pretty good, I think. Yeah. So I got them. Thanks, Steve. I might drop a bit. I think I took a couple of pics. I was going to send them to Steve and I forgot. They're not bad. Not bad at all. They've had some water in them, so they're a little bit rusty. But if you can hear buzzing in the background, that's my ultrasonic doing its thing. Top tip, if you ever end up with 5 litre drums because you're doing stuff, keep them, because they're awesome. You cut the side out and you've got a oil drip tray. Keep the cap as well because it makes it easier to use as oil drip trays and empty them out later. Top tip from that. So why are you buying more super glue bits? Well, what I want to do is, or wrong, my thinking is, for the Chop Super Dream that I still haven't named. I know you guys sent suggestions. I'm a bit behind on comments and things, but whatever. But anyway, on the Chop Super Dream, it works. It runs. It's fine. It pulls, starts, stops. There is nothing wrong with it. Nothing I need to do with it. But I do know that it's got working carbs on it. Now, what I could quite happily do is whip those carbs off, chuck them on my Super Dream and see if it works, which is something that I'm desperate to do. But because these complete carbs kind of fell in my lap, thanks to Steve, I think what I'm going to do is clean up the carbs, because we need it, and try them on the Chop. And if they work, put the original carbs back on that, because with that bike I've got a load of documentation, including evidence that they've been serviced and the carbs have been professionally serviced. So then that bike is complete with history, ready for me to do whatever the hell I'm going to do with it, to it, if anything. I might just leave it as is. And job's good, and if the carbs work, I'll put them on the other bike. Now I could just, whip the carbs off that, chuck it on that, put these carbs on there, and get rid of it as is. But that would be a little bit dishonest of me, and I wouldn't be happy over that, because I like to think of myself as a fairly honest broker. Right, really crap video. Apologies, but update. So I'm going to leave that for at least a week. I might start stripping bits off it with the vinegar inside it. It's, that's not an issue. It's not going to explode because of vinegar on it if I'm stripping the outside. My experience of painting the Mudguard says I am going to strip that paint completely. I'm not going to try and smooth it down and paint over it, because the reactions I've had are horrendous. I don't want to repeat that again. I've got a little bit of filling to do on that side. I don't know what I'm going to find under the paint for the rest of it. Yeah, so on the CX500 on Otto, that's it for a week. I may have a bit of a tinker with the other bits, probably tomorrow in the margins. So for example, the bridge between the two banks of carbs is really rusted and nasty. I can just quite easily whip that off and do something with it. It's a nice simple job, and I've got access to everything. I do need the rev counter, the cable. I do need to check as to how that secures on that end. It looks like there is, not quite sure what you can see. It looks like there's space there for me to have a bit of a play. So yeah, a little bit of a low one. The next one is probably going to be me pulling together the carb I won't bother filming it. It's an evening activity, and I've done enough carb work on Super Dreams on this channel. Putting the other carb back together, then I'll turn the camera on at some point. It might be this weekend, might be next weekend. Try and swap the carbs across, see if I get any joy. But that'll do me for a quick cold one. I'm not doing too much because it is bloody freezing, and I'll catch you later on. Ta-da.